So here it is, the 326 Pontiac. It's all together. Last video I had got the head gaskets on both sides. I did a Craigslist rebuild paint as Vice Grip Garage says, and also we got the intake on it and carburetor. We got the pulleys back on. We got the valve covers, stripper cap, spark plug wires, motor mounts, and we got the transmission all painted up. So it's gonna be time to put it in. Ordered some headers for it. They just haven't come in yet. Once they get in, we'll slide those in there. But I ended up having to use this MSD, it's not the HEI distributor, the regular one. I'm going to try using this one just to get the engine running, and then I'm going to probably order a GM style MSD distributor. Only thing about this one, I got to run the coil with it, and but we'll probably just mount that on the firewall. I just want to hear this engine run, make sure it runs all right before I go dumping any more money in it. But I believe it will. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and try and slide it in there, get the cross member up under the transmission, and play around with the wiring. I still got to patch that hole in air conditioning evaporator box. I can always do that, but my main concern is getting it in there and slap some bolts through the motor mount brackets, and then we can start doing plumbing and, like I say, the wiring. We got to put the power steering pump on, alternator, stuff like that. I like to do all of that while the radiator support is out, because it's easy to get to everything, especially without that long nose on the front. So anyway, I'm gonna get this engine slid in there and see how it looks around all this fresh new black paint. Alright, good people, it is engine and transmission install time. Got the engine, transmission all connected together. Got the transmission lines on. The transmission shift module line on, or metal tube on. So got the car in the air, so I'm trying to slide her on there and stick 2 bolts in the motor mounts and get that cross member up under there, and she'll be in. So let's do it. So it's in there. The motor is in. Motor and transmission rather. So now it's just time to wait on the headers to come. I'm sure I'm gonna have to pull that starter back off to squeeze those up there. And then we got to go through the spaghetti warehouse of wires. Most of those go to the headlights and the marker lights, horns, stuff like that, cruise control. There's a couple of harnesses up there that goes to the turbo hood for those lights that's on the hood that tell you when the turbo is engaged. So other than that, we got wire up the distributor, coil, fuel lines, put the power steering pump on it, alternator, you know, all the brackets, hoses, and get this thing ready to fire off. So we're just gonna leave it at that right now and wait on the headers to come. I might work on some other stuff. I don't know if I want to do too much because I might have to raise the engine up to get the headers in. Hopefully not. But also I got to get a fitting for the temperature sensor up here on the intake. And I still got to get that oil breather or oil cap. But yeah, that's going to be it for right this second. We'll just sit and wait on the headers. It should be here soon. And we'll start hooking some more stuff up on it. So look what came in the mail today. We finally got the headers to put on the 326. Now these headers will fit a 326 through 455 Pontiac only. So got these from Jegs. See, it's got the I don't know what size that is. Looks like 3-inch to me. The powder coated black. And these things has got a super thick flange. I guess so it won't bend when you go to tighten them down. And it came with the header connectors and also the flanges and the gaskets. So pretty good setup. Like I said, I don't rarely order stuff from Jegs, but these look pretty good. I don't know who they made by, probably some aftermarket company. If I find out, I'll put it somewhere on the video. But I did get them from Jegs, and it was a Black Friday sale, so it was like 30% off. I think they ran around $200 something. So we're gonna get those on the car, and hopefully by the weekend I can get this thing to the muffler shop if the weather ain't too crazy, and we can get the exhaust ran from the headers back to the mufflers, and then that way when I get it fired up, we can hear the exhaust out the tailpipes, and we can tell how this engine is running instead of trying to you know, hook it up and run it off the headers straight. Because usually when you run an engine just straight headers, you don't hear the performance of the engine. It might sound good, but then you finally get the mufflers on it, quieten it down a little bit, you might start hearing little ticks and tats and stuff like that, and it's easier to tune, I think. Unless you got one of those engine run stands where you can hook up some kind of exhaust. But anyway, I'm gonna get these headers on there, and then we're gonna soon move on to hooking the power steering up. We're gonna put the radiator support in, the radiator, hook it up. That way we can run coolant through that engine, which we can check to make sure it's not running hot, don't have any coolant leaks, and we can run it a lot longer. And also I got to get a fuel system hooked up, because the gas tank, I don't know what's in it. Probably just run a bottle for right now. And I got to go through this monstrosity of wires, get rid of a lot of stuff I don't need, and get the alternator, the coil, and all that stuff hooked up, and temperature sensor or pressure sensor. So, but my main concern was just getting it in there, making sure our aftermarket motor mounts is going to work, and getting these headers on, because we can get it up in the air and put them on. Hopefully I can get them on there easy without having to lift the engine up or some crazy stuff like that. So we'll just have to see. But anyway, I'm going to quit running my mouth and get to work. So I ran into a dilemma. I'm going to have to take the starter off on this side and take the oil filter off on this side in order to get that header up on either side of this motor, because there's no clearance. So I'm going to go ahead and get the oil filter off and the starter, and they should just slide right up there. We'll get them bolted down, because got the car up pretty high. I tried to angle them up between there, and that's just not going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and get that stuff off, and we'll get them bolted up on there. Alright, so I took off the oil filter and the starter. So this is the driver's side. Let me see how good it fit up there now. Should go right up. Got a lot of clearance. Really a two-man job. Just hope I ain't gotta lift this engine up. Come on, header. And we got a problem. The thing that the starter wires go through is right in my way. So if I can get this header to sit here for a minute, which is probably not going to work, I have to take it back down and take that off of there, because that actually went in between the block and the manifold. So that's not going to work. So I'm going to have to take that off. It's just that little thing right here. I'll have to put it on last. Either that or don't run it at all. That was already on that engine. So hopefully I can get in here. Something told me to leave that thing off when I was putting the engine together. Now it's going to be a pain. Get a long extension. I don't think I screwed it on that tight. It's just getting in there. That's out the way. Grab a header bolt just to hold it up there this time. Okay. This one you need somebody to hold the header for you, but what's that song? I drink alone with nobody else. I work alone. Ooh, that's gonna be super tight. Ugh. I really need to car down lower a little bit. if I can get the last header bolt. Oh man. Ah. Okay. That header bolt's in. Whew. That is tight. What am I touching here? Caught against something. Oh, it's the freaking lift. You have to let the car down because the arm coming off the lift is actually hitting the header on this side. So that was my fault there. I'm gonna move on to the passenger side and get it hung up there before we let it down and fix that. I wish those gaskets were slotted gaskets because you have to take the header completely off, put the gasket in. So I'm thinking this side should just slide right up there because my arm on the lift, well actually the pad on the arm that goes up on the frame is more center of the rail. I didn't know that. So let me see, can I get this side up? It's kind of hard to see down there. Dark. Should just slide right up that slot. Get a header bolt. Yeah, I have to let the car down and fix the other side, but at least I got it up there. Freaking car part. Hope I ain't gotta take nothing else off on this side. Like the oil filter housing or some stupid stuff. It's always one side is gonna be tighter than the other side. And I think oh man. This side's gonna suck. Ugh. There's like a heat shield right here. I hope I don't have to take that oil filter housing off. Can't tell what I'm hitting. Oh man. Oh, I need to turn. This side here is not going. It's hitting the transmission line. Come on. I think I'm gonna have to take this. There's a brace going from the control arm bracket to the frame on this side. I'm gonna have to take that off. Then it's hitting the oil filter housing. So I bet you I'm gonna have to raise this engine back up. I'm gonna try it though. I'm mainly thinking it's this brace that's up under here. It wants to go, but look like the oil filter housing and that brace might be hanging me up. But I'll show you that brace. This brace right here, the header is hitting it, and then I might be able to swoop it around this oil filter housing. So I'm gonna take this brace off and then see if I can angle it up there. If not, I might have to raise the engine up and put this side in. But like I was saying on this side, the header's hitting this part of my lift and I can't get it to angle over there so I can put the front bolt in. But it's up there though. I got one bolt holding it. At least it's up there. So let me work on getting that brace off, and if I have to, I'll just take the oil filter housing off. I can just get another gasket for it, because I really don't want to have to raise this engine up. So I got it all nice and bolted in. 350 turbo. Got a chrome transmission pan with a drain plug. That's cool. Good thing I didn't scratch it all up. Alright, let me get to work on that. Show you the outcome. So, back with the Trans Am. If you've been following me on Instagram and my YouTube shorts, I did celebrate a birthday last Friday, and you probably seen how my shop was transformed into a 80s disco club. Matter of fact, there's still remnants of it. I just kind of left it up there. So happy birthday to me. So I've been playing around with the Trans Am again. Also, if you've been seeing my YouTube shorts maybe and Instagram, maybe Facebook page, one of those, I got the exhaust hooked up, took it to the muffler shop actually Friday before the festivities started, and I got the headers on that I ordered, and we got exhaust from front to back. So what I've been doing tonight is going through all these wires. You see, it's a spaghetti warehouse of wires. Just going through, seeing what I don't need and what I do need. And basically, this harness right here is for all the turbo stuff, the pollution pump. This goes to the hood for your lights, your boost gauge lights. That's all the sensors, one's for the transmission, a couple of them for the carburetor and all that. So we're gonna get rid of all that, don't need it. This is a secondary coolant temperature sensor plug that went to the intake. So that's for that turbo stuff. I'll get rid of it. It actually has another temperature wire right here that goes to the side of the block, which I'm just gonna put a temperature sensor here where I got the sensor. I just gotta move it to over here, take that plug out, and that'll be our temperature sensor. Then of course the oil pressure sensor, the wire, the plug broke off of it. It was real brittle, but I'm not getting any juice there. Maybe it has to be running. I know this thing still got a computer in it for the turbo stuff. So, but it does turn over. I got the starter connected and everything. Only thing I got left to do is hook up our MSD coil and distributor. Now I'm gonna run the external MSD coil because I'm not running HEI on this one. So I'm just gonna run this distributor. We're gonna mount the coil probably somewhere on the firewall. It only takes a couple wires. We do got firepower going to the distributor wire. If you're familiar with GM, they just got this one plug. Then there's another plug down there for the tachometer that plugs to the distributor. So all that will tie in with the MSD distributor. It has a plug, connector plug down there that you can wire that in. You can actually wire this distributor up without the MSD box, which I don't have. When I got the motor, he was running it with just the MSD distributor. I don't know if you can see that plug down there. Now it's kind of, I gotta dig it out anyway. So that will plug into the MSD box, and then there'll be some more wires. So I think this one to the coil. Anyway, so moving along slowly but surely. Like I said, I'm gonna get rid of all those wires I don't need. Try and make the harness look nice and neat. Clean everything up, get everything all strapped back and covered up. But she's alive again. All the interior lights came back on. Clock still works. Windows still work. Got ignition power. So pretty soon she'll be ready to fire up and run. I gotta go through the fuel system, gas tank. I'm thinking about really just running it off a gas bottle for now. I gotta put the radiator support back in and hook the radiator up. That way we won't have transmission fluid spraying everywhere. I could just run a hose from each line, but I'm gonna go ahead and put the radiator in it so I can at least run it, get it up to temperature, and make sure we don't have any overheating issues. And then I can, I still got to put the drive shaft in it. Probably get the drive shaft in it and kind of bump it in gear and see will it go anywhere. I got to get a new master cylinder. I got the new brake lines for the front and new brake lines for the rear. And I got to put the calipers back on. So it's just a slow process. I mean, if you're building one of these cars, you know it just takes time. I mean, I do work a daily job, so it's not like I got all the time in the world to really mess with it. And some days I get home and don't even want to fool with nothing. But we'll get it together though. After I get all these wires sorted out and things, then be ready. So I'm gonna get back to work doing this, and I'll show you what I'm doing next. Alright, so I finally got rid of all that monstrosity of wires, and we got it down to what we need. So I know it don't look pretty right now. I'm gonna redo it. Don't panic. But we just got the harness we need. We got our coil. We got our grounds, because we had to save some grounds out of all that. We got our alternator. This is a temperature sensor. What else we got? We got our oil pressure sensor hooked up back there, and we got our distributor, the RPM tachometer wire going from the distributor over to the gauge that goes inside. So now we just need to see if it's got any fire. So I just stuck a spark plug off in the hole. Well, not in the hole, but in the wire. And we just need to see if there's gonna be any fire situation. So let's see what we got. And I got the starter all hooked up to the key switch. We got fire. So we know our distributor is doing what it's supposed to do. Our coil's doing what it's supposed to do. So now we gotta hook the throttle up. It's so hard to hook the remote start button up to that mini starter because the prongs are so close together. I might hook it up. If not, I might just crank it with the key. But it's kind of cool to crank it up out here because you can hit the throttle. But here's the throttle cable. It's got the little bracket that goes on the back of the carb. Here's the passing gear cable. That's off the transmission that we got. Like I said, I still got some wires to straighten up. I got to put the thermostat housing on, hook the temperature sensor up, and I got to put the radiator support back in so we can hook the radiator up and the transmission lines, unless I make a bypass hose for the transmission cooler. And we still got to hook the power steering up, you know, stuff like that. But I'm going to keep playing with it. I'm going to get it where it's time to fire it up. I probably just run it off a gas bottle for right now because I'm pretty sure the gas tank's probably got some goopy goop in it. I was going to pull it out. I got to pull it out anyway to do some repairs on the trunk floor. And I was going to blow all the lines out. I still might pull it out anyway before I crank it. Maybe we can run it off the tank, but like I said, I got to repair the trunk floor. And I really want to sand the bottom, get the surface rust off, and undercoat it. So it'll be senseless to pull the tank, check it, put it back in, put gas in it, then you got to pull it back out. So I'll just crank it off a gas bottle for now. We'll just hook to the original fuel pump down there, and it should be working because it was a running engine. So let me get all this stuff out of the way, get everything situated. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the radiator support in, get it bolted back up so we can put the radiator in, put the fan on it. We can run it, make sure we don't have any overheating issues, oil pressure, stuff like that. And hopefully we're good to go with this, and then we can move on with getting some other stuff done on it. Main thing is getting it running. I still got to put the drive shaft in it, and then we can see what it go in gear. And I got to get a brake master cylinder, put the calipers and stuff back on. So I just want to get this thing was running and at least driving, and then all the body work and stuff I can worry about later on. But my main concern is get it where I can crank it up and move it around and drive it. All that pushing and stuff, I'm just tired of that. So let's get this thing running. So moving forward, got some things accomplished. We got our throttle cable assembly hooked up, our passing gear cable hooked up. Got the new thermostat housing, which I might have to change. This one it kind of angles down kind of low, and so the original one was kind of at a different angle. but it can be cleaned up, and I really had the chrome one. But you can see when it's on there, it's pointing more towards the passenger side fender. So, and I think it's got more of a raise to it. So we'll see when we get the radiator in. So the carburetor's done. Like I say, link is just hooked up, vacuum booster. I got a brake master cylinder on order. So now I'm looking into power steering pumps, and this one this is the factory pump here. It had the 2 screw-in lines with the little O-rings that goes on the end of them. This is the one that came with the engine, and it's got like compression type hoses. So what I'm gonna have to do, I'm going to have to change the hoses. Another thing is, on this pump, you see the line points more down at the bottom of the pump, and this one comes up the side. I don't think that'll be a big deal. It might be, but you can always replace the hose, because this is the return, I think, for the longer hose. I don't really want to run the factory power steering pump. That means I would have to sandblast it and paint it and la-da-la-da-la-da. I can put the chrome bracket on it, but I don't really feel like going through all that unless I have to. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna change these hoses and put these hoses off of that pump, clean them up real good, probably spray some paint on them, and put them up over on this one, and we have the nice shiny chrome pump still. So that's what I'm trying to get everything buttoned up on the motor before I put the radiator support in, because it's so easy to just walk over and start working on stuff. Like I gotta run a fuel line from the fuel pump so we can run off an auxiliary tank. I mean, I can do it with the radiator support in there. I can just reach through where the radiator go. But I figured before putting all that in, let's try and get all this you know, stuff on and get it fitted and bolted down. That way later on everything will be ready to go. We can put the belts on, the fan, instead of putting all the radiator support back in, and then we get into have to change all that out and find out something ain't gonna work. So while it's out in the open, I'm gonna work on it like that. And I gotta get the spark plug wires all nice and tidied up. But I'm gonna work on getting these power steering hoses changed from one pump to the other, and get the pump on there, and find the belts. They're around here somewhere. Then we'll throw the fuel line on there and the radiator support. So I was gonna change the lines, and there is something different. This one right here has the little compression fitting type. Trying to focus in. And this one has the one that has the O-ring that goes onto the end of the hose, just like there's an O-ring. The O-ring goes on there. So I'm gonna have to change this back fitting. This one's already loose. Well, it was loose. I can loosen it. So I'm gonna have to swap that from here to this one, and then I can use that line there. Hopefully I remember which end goes into the pump now. I think it's the longer end. Oh, wait a minute, it might be the shorter end. Man, this thing is full of fluid. So swap that over, and then we'll swap this one over here to this one, because we got to change it. I wish it was the same, but it's different. I think the only way that would work if I had found some kind of fittings to go in the gearbox, but that might be hard to do. So I'm gonna swap that over, and we should be good to go. Alright, so I swapped out this little fitting on the back of the power steering pump. This is the one that was in the chrome pump. I actually swapped the O-ring too, and it just basically screws in the back of the pump. They usually GM's is mostly all the same. I think the only thing different was this hole was a little bit smaller, but it just goes straight through. That's for the fluid to go to the hose. But you just push down. It's got like a piston right there. That's spring loaded. Same threads. Kind of hard to do it and hold the camera. You have to kind of press it in there and give it some force. But same pumps. Only thing's different is just some of them got the hose pointing straight down, the tube for the hose. This one's going straight up. So I'll figure that out when I get it on there. I might have to put a longer hose to accommodate, because this one's going down. I don't know yet, but that swapped out good. Now we can use the O-ring type hose. I cleaned it up, got a lot of the rust off of it, and then we'll change that. So we should be good. Should be able to put that pump on and hook it to the gearbox, and yeah. So I got to thinking, I've been hooking this stuff up all day. Got the power steering pump on, got the power steering lines on. I say we try and crank it. Let's just try and crank it and see does it even run. You know, instead of sticking the radiator in there, we can crank it for a hot second without the cooling system hooked up, just to see what it does. So I got this little clear tube right here. I'm just gonna rig up on the transmission lines. Hopefully it don't spew fluid everywhere. And I got the fuel system hooked up. Now this has got the return that comes off of the fuel pump. I guess after I fill up the fuel line to my reserve tank, or whatever you want to call it, fuel tank, I can just take the gas can and set it up under the car right at the front. That way the fuel that's not being used will go straight back into the gas can. Now I got some 2-cycle oil, that's all I got, some premix. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill up the little gas bottle. We can at least run it just to see what it sounds like. You can't get it too terrible hot because you don't have any antifreeze. It's a rainy night, and why not crank up an engine for the first time? So I'm gonna go ahead and put just a little bit in there. Not too terrible much. So then I take the gas can and hopefully we don't have any fuel leaks nowhere. I don't think we will. Take the gas can, just stick that return hose off in it. And I need to block the choke open because I don't want it to crank up on fast idle. So block the choke open probably. Maybe that ratchet will stay in there. And I I guess we get some we'll get some kind of starting fluid and shoot at it. It ain't going nowhere because it don't have a drive shaft. So let's just see what it does. It might take, oh, I gotta put a battery in it. I forgot. Let's hook the battery cable up. Hopefully this thing runs. It was running when he pulled it out, but it wasn't running right. So I'm gonna turn the gas on. Look, we got a small gas leak over here. Nothing major though. I think we'll be alright. Make sure this gas bottle don't fall. Okay, I'm gonna just spurt it with some starting fluid. Hit it with some starting fluid and let's just see what it does. Y'all ready? I am. Kind of nervous. She's either gonna go or blow. If I get the keys. Uh-oh, got something? Let's spray it again. It's gonna take a while to get that gas up there. Hopefully the time is not off on it. Shouldn't be. I didn't touch the distributor. Hopefully this fuel pump is really should pour some gas in there. Hits off, but it ain't cranking. I hope that fuel pump's good. Come on, Betsy. Sounds like the fuel pump ain't working. That's what it sounds like. Should be working though. It's not getting any gas up there. I think the fuel line's leaking right on top of the main fuel line going to the carburetor. I think it's leaking. That might be creating a air leak in the fuel system. Yeah, it's leaking a little bit. Oh yeah, it's not even tight. But it is fuel going to that line going up to the carburetor. So let me spray it one more time. Almost. Come on. Sound like I got an exhaust leak. I believe that doggone fuel pump is not working right. Uh-oh. I don't know if it's picking up gas or not. Oop. We don't have no gas up here. Might have to crack the line up here on the carburetor and see. Gas is on. Make sure I got enough in there. Let me pour some more in there. That is the fuel line, I know. It was in the fuel line when it had the leak. Yeah, I don't think this engine's been sitting that long where the pump will go bad. And I am really out of spray. I'm just gonna leave that return line. Oh, we got a little small transmission leak. I see it now. Transmission line starting to leak. I figured that. Let's pour just a little gas in there. I don't know where you pour the gas at on these Ep.5 where you can fill the bowls up. Man, I hope that transmission fluid don't go flying out of there. I'm going to have to hook up a manual oil pressure gauge. It's not working in there, which I had a problem with that anyway when I was going through the wiring. Sounds good, but I'm scared to keep running it. What is leaking? It looks like the transmission line up under the car is leaking. I think where they split that transmission line and put that compression fitting in the middle. But I'm gonna have to put a manual oil pressure gauge on it because it's not reading in the car, and I don't want to keep running it without it having oil pressure. Plus, one of the manifold gaskets is leaking. I don't hear any major knocks. Little lifter chatter. Uh-oh. For some reason, that ain't good. It just shut off. I don't know why it shut off like that. You run out of gas? It might be out of gas. Oh, yeah, she's bone dry up here. She's bone dry. We'll run it one more time, let it cool off, and I'll hook up a manual oil pressure gauge before I keep running it. I want to make sure it's got oil pressure because I don't want to ruin a good motor. It was showing oil pressure when I was spinning it over. It was oozing out of the oil filter housing where the fitting goes, but that ain't telling you nothing. Too hot. She sounds good. My main concern is hooking up a oil pressure gauge and make sure we got oil pressure. And where that sensor is, are we still leaking at the bottom? I see a little red down there. Man, that's gonna be, I'm gonna have to jack it up and go under there and take that oil filter, that oil pressure sensor out. But yeah, she sounds good though, folks. I hope y'all can really hear it. Sounds like it's got like a small cam in it. Nothing major. Let's see what she crank up. Whoa, battery fell. Whoa, shoot. My battery fell over. Don't arc the frame. Whatever you do, don't arc the frame. Ugh. This thing's a gas hog. Look like we got a small oil leak. Oh yeah. Valve cover gasket's leaking. I'm gonna have to snug those down some. So there's still work to be done, but at least I know it run. Hey, I'm around. Probably leaking on this side too. Nope. So I'll snug. I didn't put any sealant on the gaskets because I thought I'd have to take the valve covers back off to adjust the rockers, but it does sound good though, so I'm gonna open this door up. It's kind of smoky in here. Smokey and the Bandit. So anyway, I'll let it cool off. I'll go ahead and tighten those valve covers up and get an oil pressure gauge on it, and then we'll run it. We'll go ahead and get the cooling system hooked up. I think the transmission line up under there is leaking. It's definitely leaking right here, but that's not nothing bad. I'm glad that battery didn't arc against the frame. That'd been dangerous. But yeah, so y'all just stay tuned. Be more to come. So here we are again. I temporarily got the radiator set in there. I ordered a new radiator shroud. It'll be here sometime next couple of days. I just got this one that I had. It's been chewed on by something. I just temporarily got it in there, and what I'm going to do is hook up the heater hoses and we get some coolant in it, and then we can run it. Temporarily got oil pressure gauge hooked up. The one on the dash is not working. There's no voltage going to the wire. I don't know if it's something in the gauge or something in the wiring. So that's going to be temporary there because I don't know what the oil pressure was. We got all the belts on. Everything's all hooked up there. I think I'm gonna have to do something with the fan. As you can see, the fan kind of sticks out the shroud. That shroud hasn't been cut or anything, so I think I'm gonna have to run like a flex fan with a spacer in there to put it more into the shroud. So, but for right now, just test running it with coolant and everything. We can just see how the engine runs when it warms up. I know I got to replace the blower motor because I turned the blower motor on and it didn't come on, but it's got power going to it. So while I got the fender wells out, or inner fenders rather, I'm gonna go ahead and put a new used blower motor in there. That way we hook the heater hoses up, we can make sure that the heater core is not leaking. I hope it's not, because those things are a job to get out of there. But worked all day yesterday sanding and prepping and painting the inner fenders. So that's one side, and then this is the other side. I even undercoated it with some undercoating. So those will go in pretty soon. I hate to scratch them up. I'm trying not to. Try and put something on them, keep them from getting scratched. So anyway, I'm gonna work on getting the heater hoses hooked up, getting the new blower motor in, and also we got the new master cylinder. I still gotta hook up the new brake lines down there for the calipers, so we can get the brakes bled up. And hopefully pretty soon we can take this thing for a test drive. I still got to put the drive shaft in. I didn't put it in because I've been pushing it around. Didn't feel like reaching over in there, constantly putting it in park and neutral and all that, so I just left it out of there. I got like a drive shaft yoke in the end of the transmission, so fluid won't come leaking out. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook this other stuff up, and we'll fire it up and put some coolant in it and see how she's gonna work. Alright, so I finally got the heater hoses hooked up, and I got the blower motor put in. It's spilling more than I should be putting in the radiator. Fill the radiator up with some coolant and water mix. I'm gonna be draining it back out anyway. I don't want to put too much antifreeze in it and have to drain it back out and waste it, because antifreeze is kind of expensive these days, unless you get the old dollar store brand, which I think they're going up too. So radiator's full. Let's see what she cranked. I gotta put some gas in our gas bottle, because this thing loves to drink gas. I hope that radiator is going to work out. I'm going to buy a new one for it anyway, because that one's really a 2-core radiator. I like to have a 3-core, and it's a little bit on the narrow side up under that shroud, but it'll work for now. Hopefully we're gonna run out of gas. I had to go get some. I don't see nothing leaking. I hear the air bubbles in the radiator. So, oh, I gotta block the choke open. I still haven't hooked up the electric choke yet, so I gotta block it open. Which that'll be a later thing to do. The wire's there, I just gotta run it over to the carburetor. I'm just gonna give it a little whoop, smidget. Whoa. Battery a little bit on the weak side. I think that's from running it with no alternator the other day. Oh man, I'm gonna have to get the charger to get the boost pack, because that battery's dead. Like I said, I was running it without the alternator hooked up, and it about drained the battery. So let me go get a boost pack, and then we'll see what she fire up in. Okay, I got the boost pack. Hopefully it's charged. Let's give this a shot one more time. Oh, I hear gas. power steering fluid. It's got a little bit, but it had 65-ish oil pressure. I didn't really want to put the power steering belt on it because I knew I was going to have to put some fluid. So I hope I got some, because the gearbox was drained and I was kept moving it around and turning the steering wheel without the hoses hooked up. All the power steering fluid blew out. So I'm going to have to go get some of that. I might as well pick up some more gas. So let me go get some more power steering fluid, get some more gas. But other than that, she fires right up. And we'll run it some more and let the temperature get up there. I think I gotta put some more coolant in it anyway. And hopefully the charging system works. We'll get the voltmeter, hook that up, see how the charging system looks, and go from there. Alright, she's running. Pretty good. Still smoking in here though. As you can see, there's no blowback coming out of there. Check the charge. Ep.538. good and everything. Gotta put some more water in it. The temperature hand hasn't got up there yet. So hopefully it's working, that temperature sensor. And I gotta put some more transmission fluid in. So I'm gonna go get some more water and get another quart of transmission fluid. Stick that in there. So ran into a slight problem with it. I've been letting it sit here and run, and what happened is it's getting too hot, starting to overheat, and I think the problem is the radiator. That radiator needs to be either cleaned or replaced. So I ended up putting a manual gauge for the temperature, and it was getting up there around 210. Steady climbing, so I shut it down, let it cool off, took the thermostat out, noticed that there wasn't any coolant or in the intake, so manually poured some down in the intake. It stayed around 180 for a while and then it shot back up. But this radiator, my test radiator rather, it's kind of funky looking inside. So I'm going to have to just get a new radiator for it. But other than that, it runs real good. Good oil pressure. But you can look in there, that thing, it needs to be either boiled out or just replaced. So I got one on order. It'll be here next couple of days, so I'll just be patient. Slip that puppy right there out and put the new one in. But as you see, it runs good, no smoke, good oil pressure. Sounds like it's gonna have plenty of power. So that's gonna be it right now on the old Trans Am. I'm gonna end this video right here and just wait on the parts to come in. Like I said, I got a new used radiator shroud coming in for it, and I got a new battery tray coming in, so when I put the inner fenders in, I have something to set the battery on. And yeah, so that's gonna be it. So you guys just like, share, and subscribe. I've been noticing on some videos I get a lot of you viewing it and hitting likes, and then some don't. I mean, you guys, where you at? Where all my subscribers at? Where y'all hanging out at? Start smashing that like button. Start watching the videos. I know y'all out there. Or y'all let me know what y'all would like to see on the channel. Like I say, I know there's a lot of channels out there that breaks the bank and go buy cars every week and do a lot of wheel runs and can you drive it 100,000 miles home. But this channel is kind of not like that. I mean, I go with the flow. We go as stuff come to us and we get it running. So just let me know what y'all would like to see on the channel. Maybe I can make it happen. Can't make no promises, but I would like to see all my subscribers start watching some of the videos. And if you can, hit the like button. If you don't like it, you ain't gotta hit it. Ain't nobody forcing you. But just let me know that you're watching it and you do like something. I see a lot of comments from some of y'all, and I try and answer all of them. Thankful for that. Like I said, this is just a small channel. It's not nothing just big and blowed up like a lot of the channels out there. But hey, I do what I can do with the budget I'm working with. and the knowledge I got. So anyway, see y'all later. I'm gonna put this thing up and just wait on some parts. So deuces.